Hey yo, is this thing on? What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video with your boy Ricarti. Today's video is gonna be a good one. You know, as y'all see by the title, today we are doing pros and cons of designers and cheap clothing. This is gonna be a good video because I've been wanting to do a video like this and I got some good points. So make sure y'all watch the full video. This is gonna be a good video, y'all. So I'm going to do every pro and con of the designer and cheap, every pro and con of them. So hear me out. We're gonna start with designer first, okay? Designer is very popular, you know. A lot of people buy it, a lot of rich people buy it, a lot of people that's wealthy buy it. You know, designers just, you know, basically a lot of people, you don't gotta be rich to have designer, but designer, you know what I'm saying? Designer's on the high end of the pricing, you know what I'm saying? So it's cool, you get, you know, you can afford it. I get it, you know, I get it. I don't have nothing against that. I get it. First pro of the designer, I would say, is the name brand. You know, they get all the hype because they're name brand, you know. It's not the clothing. The clothing good, but the name brand has more value to it. Like Balenciaga, Gucci, Prada, Louis, Dolce & Gabbana, Givenchy, like those name brands are big in value. They ring a bell into the name. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like Michael Jackson, Kanye, Tupac. They're the name of the brand, you know. They're just what makes them, you know, of how big they are, influence. For example, Balenciaga can go to Walmart and get a hoodie, right? Get a plain black hoodie and put Balenciaga and stitching on the hoodie, and that it will go for a valuable of what they sell it for, which is $1,000. They literally can turn a $20 hoodie to a $1,000 hoodie just by their name brand. So that's the first pro. Like, their name brand holds a great value. The con, okay, we're gonna get to the con now for the designer. We'll say the con is pricey, you know, there's very pricey. A hoodie, forget Balenciaga, is probably $1,400. Gallery department is expensive too. I don't like saying expensive, I like saying pricey. Like, gallery department, if you want a t-shirt, it's like $300. Like, I just feel like, in my personal opinion, I get it, it's a name brand, but I just feel like clothes shouldn't be that crazy, in my opinion. Because, like, bro, like, I got some stuff I paid for $1,000 and I only wore it one time, and I probably, you know what I mean? I treat it as I treat any clothes. That's just me though, you know? Like, I get it though, it holds a lot of value, you know? I get it, I get the name. That's what I'm saying, it goes back to the pro. It holds a great, the name is just bigger. The name's bigger than the price, so that's why. So, but the con is it's just super pricey, you know? Balenciaga hoodie costs the same as somebody's rent. Like, that's crazy, you know? So those are the pros and cons of the designer of the first. That's the first point. All right, so we're going to the cheap. Now we're going to the cheap, you know? The cheap clothing, you know? Obviously, the first pro is it's cheap, you know? Like, you can go and literally Shein and buy a pair of pants for like $30, you know? You could buy a shirt for $7. You can buy, you know what I'm saying? You could buy a do-rag for like $3. Like, that's a pro, you know? Like, a lot of people in this world like cheap stuff, you know? So that's a pro, I would say. It's cheap, you know, very, very affordable. You can buy it anyway, anyhow. It's very cheap. Now we're going to the con. You know, the con I will say is it's oversaturated, you know, of being so cheap. You know, everybody wants it, so it's very oversaturated. They sell out quicker than a designer. Everybody wants it, you know. Everybody wants the vintage t-shirts. Everybody wants the oversized hoodies that you can resell and do this and that for it. It's very oversaturated, I feel like. Like, it's just, you can't get, I feel like nowadays it's just very, very hard to get stuff in person. You gotta shop online, and then shopping online is hard because to them to restock and stuff. So yeah, the con is very oversaturated. All right, we're going to the second points of the designer and the cheap clothing. We're gonna do the designer, going back to designer. The first point is it does have great material, you know, like the Balenciaga sweaters or hoodies are real thick, you know, the stitching is good, it's official. Like, everything with designer is official. Like, the technique, the stitching, the material of the sweater, you know, it's always on point, you know what I'm saying? That's something I will say. Like, everybody wants a thick sweater, you know. That's what makes the hoodie look good and stuff. You know, everybody wants it to be stitching. When you wash it, say if you wash it, it won't come off, you know. So Designer is very good about the quality of the material. You know, that's what I'll say is a great pro for designer for sure. The material. I would say this is for a con. I would say for a con, I feel like a lot of designer stuff is ugly though. I will say that like I'm gonna show y'all, like there's some like I'm gonna show you. A lot of designer stuff is ugly. Like some of the stuff they like, a lot of stuff that I'm just against, because I feel like they just do it because it's expensive, so they can like do anything. It's like if Kanye can wear anything he wants to because he's Kanye. I feel like that's the same type of bigger brands go to. Like I just don't understand it. You know, I don't care how rich or how famous I get, I would never put some of the stuff on that the designer stuff they do. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big pro to me. Some of the stuff do be ugly, like especially Balenciaga. They have a lot of ugly stuff. Okay, going back to the cheap stuff, I would say for the streetwear, well, cheap stuff, yeah, cheap clothing, I would say backtracking to the kind of designer, I would say some of the cheap stuff looks way better than the expensive stuff. Like streetwear, like vintage, and like I would rather put on a vintage jersey than like something ugly at Balenciaga. You know, like I truthfully believe the cheap stuff, a lot of cheap stuff looks better than the designer stuff as well. You know, so that's what I would say. Like I don't know, like I would just scroll around. I'd be scrolling around and comparing the two, and I'd just be seeing like, this looks way better than that. Like what? And it's way cheaper, you know. So, and I'm always gonna feel like that when I become rich and famous and whatever. I'm always gonna feel that way. Like I'm always gonna say that the streetwear stuff looks way doper than the design stuff. You know, design stuff do be cool. There is some cool stuff on there, but like, you know what I mean? Like, nah. Streetwear got it, like vintage and stuff, that got it, you know. I feel like that's very, very over designer stuff. So I would say a con for the cheap clothing is sometimes the material is not so good, you know. It can be real thin, the wording can be like printed on not how it's supposed to. Like sometimes I experience I'll wash the clothes and then like the letter would come off or something crazy like that. Like that's how bad that's the downside of the cheap clothing, you know. Sometimes it's not good clothing, you know. I would say designer got that over cheap clothing for sure, you know. So that's something I would definitely say. All right, y'all, this is my last points. I'm gonna wrap this video up. Okay, we're going back to the designer. The pro, I would say, of designer respect. I feel like, I don't know why it's like this, but I personally feel like if you have a lot of designer stuff and you buy designer, you're shopping at designer and you can afford it, you get just a lot of respect. Like I be watching these other YouTubers and they be going shopping and stuff, and they were just saying like how like the people who is in the store are so happy they're there buying stuff, they can afford it, and they just treat them a different way. So I feel like that's true. I feel like with a lot of design stuff, if you buying a lot of designer stuff and stuff, you can afford it, you get a lot of respect. And you know, when you get a lot of respect, you feel good about yourself. You feel like you're doing something in life, you know. So I get it, but I'm like, it's just clothing, you know. So, but I get it though. So I honestly get it. So yeah. So the pro for a designer, you get mad respect for sure. This is a big one to end the designer side. This is a big one. This is a con. You don't have to have designer stuff to dress good. I'm gonna repeat that again. You don't have to have designer clothes to dress good, you know? You can put that shit on with the cheap stuff, you know? That's what people don't realize. Like, I be hate seeing people be so, like, in designer out, but really can't dress for real, you know what I'm saying? But a person that has some cheap stuff or decent stuff can dress way better. You don't need designer to dress good, you know? That's something that I really want to put out in the world. You don't need designer to dress good, bro. You can put any, if you know how to dress, you can go to Payless and put someone and have that shit on. You know what I mean? You don't have to have designer stuff to look good in clothing. Like I said earlier, some of the design stuff is ugly, you know? So that's a big con. Like, if whoever come across this video, I'm gonna say it one more time. You don't have to have designer stuff to dress good or look good. I'm trying to tell y'all, you don't have to do that, you know? We're gonna leave that for the design. Finish off on the cheap clothing. A good pro is for the cheap clothing is like, it's easy to start a clothing brand and like compete with the like, you can start a clothing brand, you can compete with like Fashion Nova and stuff. You can outdo them, I feel like. They're probably they got a little sauce, but I feel like you can compete with them just because their clothes are so cheap too, you know? Rather than competing with like Gucci or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it's so easy to compete and do good. Like, I know some clothing brands that are better than Fashion Nova and stuff like that. So like, I feel like it's a good opportunity to compete and, you know, skill yourself right. You know, think about it. Rick Owens and them probably started off as a small clothing company and then they blew up, you know? It's the same thing. I feel like it's easier to have a clothing brand nowadays to overpower like the Paxsons and stuff like that. That's my opinion. I think that's, you know, that's a good valuable to bring. But not least, the con of the cheap clothing, I would say, is it loses value a lot. Like, you could wear it a few times until it starts getting old and looks old. The material doesn't feel good no more. So I feel like with cheap clothing, it loses value a lot for sure, I would say. You know, so I have this video. Hope this video helped anybody out there. Hope y'all know the difference between designer and cheap clothing. Personally, it's hand in hand with me. I like designer. I love, my favorite brands are Balenciaga, Rick Owens, and Gallery Department. Those are my favorite three designer. I love them. I'm going to work with them. I was going to say I want to work with them, but I'm going to work with those three brands. I promise you, very, very soon. And then on the cheap side, I like Fashion Nova. I'm gonna get them to work with them. I like Shein, bro. And Shein, I'm not gonna lie, I like Shein. And I like Temu. Temu got some stuff, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, Temu got some better stuff than Balenciaga and all that. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro. Like, people are so slept on Temu. Like, I was slept at Temu first. I didn't think they had heat, but as I've been working with Temu and stuff, they got some heat, bro. I'm not gonna lie. So those are my 3 and 3 for each of them. Hope y'all have a good day. I'll see y'all in tomorrow's video. Make sure y'all pray to God, put God first, thank the man above. I love you, Jesus. Thank you for everything. I'll see y'all in the next video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, notification bell. I'm out.